Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Derail Valley with your host Von Klaus. Guys, I do have a shout out. I want to say thank you to Hank Kerchief. Hank Kerchief made a comment in one of the videos, the one where I discussed ways to help you improve the chances of getting your bonuses. And the comment, one of the comments that he made was, you notice the up there where it says Freight Hall, you have an alphanumeric code, HBHF97. On these loads, you have that same code. Now, obviously, we know that this is scrap metal because it says it's scrap metal, so we don't need to look at a train full of cars or a train full of chemicals. And, of course, I do know that it's up against this side. But you'll notice on the tag on this side, right here where my mouse is circling, you'll see that HBHF97. So that is a way, and he's exactly right, that you can determine whether or not this is the correct train prior to your setting up. Now, and of course, obviously, yes, you can count cars. The top row on this document that I'm holding, each row holds 10 cars. So without even counting the cars, I can tell you that this train is 11 cars long. Now, of course, you'd have to count these cars to verify that or use this code. And you could do it either way, whichever way is easier you. But essentially, yeah, it would be a lot easier to use the code. Now, that being said, one of the biggest shout outs I have for him, which I figured out about the code after the fact, after I recorded the video. When I went back to look at it, I really hadn't paid too much attention to the fact that the code was on the car. But one of the other things that I do want to bring to everybody's attention is this dang, and I don't want to say dang, I want to use the dirty wordy, but this stupid door right here. I hate this door with a passion. Not no more, though. He did, and that was the one thing, my biggest thanks to Hank Kerchief is, I assumed that you had to grab it, and it was the only way to open it. I didn't know there was another way you could open it. But if you just highlight it with your mouse wheel, you can roll your mouse wheel, and it'll open it. Look how simple that is. Oh my God. That is retardedly simple. But it took a bigger brain than me to figure it out. So thank you very much for that tip on that. That helps a bunch. It also works with the doors and the windows. Anything that you can open or close, you can use the mouse wheel to do. Of course, the game being kind of a little bit finicky in some areas for some reason, doesn't care whether you open the door or window and want it open, it's going to close it. And that's just the way it is. So, you can open the windows, but just bear in mind that the game is going to do a safety check on you, and it's going to close them automatically. I don't know whether that's actually intentional in the game. I prefer to hear the sounds and hear the locomotive and be able to see my environment. It's not like you're going that fast, but I don't know whether the developers intended for those doors to close automatically or not. So let's go ahead and, since we're over here, we'll go ahead and line up our train and get it ready. And you'll notice that run that I'm doing is back to the steel mill. Well, we just came from the steel mill, so the good thing about this run is all of the cars are already, all of the switches, that's what I want to say, not cars, are already where we need them to go back to the steel mills. So I should not have to do any adjusting of switches along the route. I will, however, and by the way, also Hank Kerchief did mention that these work for the switches too, with the mouse wheel. However, I don't really care for doing it with the mouse wheel. I use the keyboard commands, so I don't even have to look at the throttle, rather than having to look at it, because in order to use the keyboard commands, the mouse wheel, you have to highlight it, which means that you have to take your focus off of whatever's directly in front of you to highlight it. Of course, in real life, yes, you would have to look at it to make sure you grab the right switch. So, if you want to do it more realistically, then yeah, you really need to turn towards it a little bit and look at it. Me, I like the fact of, being able to just use the key commands. And let's go to, I don't need the dynamic. I need to go to that one and go into forward gear. My brake pressure is off. And that's one thing that kind of aggravates me. The brakes are off, but yet the game wants to act like the brakes are on. Or this one doesn't work right, I'm not sure. Yeah, because see, there was absolutely no changes in the gauge. So let me see if that's right. Yeah, see, we're moving very easily. I don't know why this particular gauge down here does not affect your gauges up top. In my opinion, it should. Because it makes it really hard to tell whether that is engaged or not. That may just be a kind of a glitch or a flaw in the game. But obviously, if you can't move, you've got to brake them. And you're not attached to it. So we're just going to move forward a little bit. And I've already reset the switches. See, I like that. I don't know why. It makes me feel like I'm, maybe it's a claustrophobic thing. I just don't feel quite as hemmed up in this tight space. So it just might have something to do with being claustrophobic. press F3 or F4, that brings on your brake. See, even without having to use the mouse rotation, the mouse wheel, and highlight the switch, you can still apply your brakes and then take them off. Now, I need to go out and see whether we are pressing the switch. Grab our comms radio, switch this track so that we are on this line. That will take us where we need to go. That away. And actually, you don't even need to open it. Walk right through it. It's kind of weird, but I need to reverse. Gas for a few seconds. Once we get a little bit of speed, we'll just get a throttle and let it go from there. This switch is correct, and that switch is correct. That is keeping us on this track and not taking us down that track. Or that jump line over there. Alright, just let it coast back and it should have enough speed to do that. Follow this track on the outside edge, right up against that fence line. Alright, we should be right at the car. Oh, that was actually perfect. No damage to the vehicle, so we didn't smack into it. That was actually perfect timing on the brakes. I think I left just a little smidge in the room. Maybe not. Nope, they're just touching. That's perfect. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to connect up real quick and go ahead and get our couplers. Then we need to turn the pipe pressure on so we supply brakes to the rear cars. And you'll notice there's a little X on there. That's just kind of a helpful tip to make sure you know that that is in cutoff mode. Now this is supplying air now. We have a little arrow. And as long as there's arrows on both, you know that you got air flowing through both sides. You can also use those when shunting. You can bottle up the air in your cars by disconnecting this and throwing this switch. And you want to throw this switch first and then disconnect this line, and that shuts what air is currently in that system, will stay in that system unless you release that valve. So you can actually stand up here if you're backing up your cars or shunting, and you can pitch them or kick them. I think it's called kicking. I'm not really 100% sure if it is called kicking, but alright, so guys, we're hooked up and ready to go. We're gonna leave the locomotive running right now just because we don't really have that far to go. And we're gonna come over here and we are going to grab our load out of here. And of course we know it's going to the steel mill. We have 28 minutes to get it there. And we are going to validate our load. Once we get to the steel mill, we are going to park it on track B3. Alright, so all we have to basically remember is we need to go to B3. Now, there is a shop in the town. I was going to show it to you real quick. I think I missed it. You can buy things at, and every town has its own unique shop. Or actually, let me rephrase that. Here it is. Every town has at least one unique item within the town, within the shop. And it's usually a more expensive item. And each town has, there's a different item in each shop. So, you kind of really do need to visit the shops to give, Alright, we take our brakes off, wait on our pipe to come up. As long as we're above 3, we'll move pretty freely. So, once we get above 3, and we'll start moving. Now, you also got to bear in mind, guys, that I've got a lot of weight behind me. His window has already closed. I have a lot of weight behind me, so this train is not going to get in a hurry and move. Gotta give it a little bit of time and let it build up some speed. And you got that much weight behind you, it's not just going to instantly. So, unlike a car that get up and go, trains take a little bit to get to. And that rule of thumb applies to even truck driving. If you're truck driving or a truck driver, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's slow getting up to speed. Once you get up to speed, maintain that speed halfway decently unless you're going up an incline, and then you're going to lose speed because you got that weight dragging you back. Of course, going down the other side, it's going to want to push you forward, so you're going to gain a lot of momentum going down a hill. And the same rules apply in being a locomotive conductor. You have a lot of weight behind you. It can either drag you down or push you down a hill, depending on which way you're going. Alright, so we're currently going 20, which is a relatively safe speed for being in the yard. I like to maintain about 20 through the yards, just to make sure I can slow down quick enough if one of my switches is wrong and it shunts me on a wrong track, which I have had happen. I want to make sure I can slow down quick enough before I run into whatever cars are on that wrong track. And of course, it tells you on this world map any blue towns that have blue dots has a shop in it. So, looking at this map, there's what, 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5 towns that have shops. And as I said, there's one unique item per shop. The remote that you can use that allows you to hook to your locomotive and shunt from the outside of the locomotive, that remote is available in Southwest Central, I believe it is. If you look at the world map, City Southwest, which is all the way over on the left-hand side of the map, right above the sawmill. If you go to City Southwest, you can buy the remote. I'm not currently interested in buying the remote yet. Coming up, we're hooked up, we're running pretty decent. Good. I didn't signal, and technically I think you give 2 horn blows when you start moving once you're connected up to the cars. I think that's how it works. I'm not saying expert on anything trains. I know what I know just from playing the game, really. But I believe I saw in a video with an actual locomotive engineer, and he made the comment that technically when you're parked and you look up to the cars, before you start moving, you're supposed to give 2 short blows on the horn to signify that you're headed out of the yard. We're currently doing 20. Go ahead and speed up now. We're on a flat section. Try to get our locomotive up to speed. Want to try to keep it out of the reds tag as much as possible. Less wear and tear on the locomotive. give one click on the brake so that it drops our speed down to 40 for this turn. And we're good. Our car is behind us. And we're in no danger of overheating. Our engine temp gauge says we're very cool. Tack is good. Amps don't work. Alright, so we're going to be going downhill. I'm sorry. Let me correct that. That indicator of the red triangle pointed downward means that we have a speed drop, not a incline. Speed is 50 through here, and it is going to increase. So I can go ahead and pour the coal to it and just bring the speed. Kind of dingling around a little bit too much, and if I'm not careful, I can very easily cost myself my bonus. The couple of minutes it took to show you the shop is going to put it a little bit shorter in time. Almost doing 50 now. It's going to be 60 through this tunnel. Yes. And it says we're going to be dropping speed according to the indicator at the bottom of that. So somewhere up in here, we got a 40 mile an hour zone up. So we want to tack the brake just a hair and let off, and by the time the air equalizes through the cars, I'll be doing my 40. Matter of fact, it actually dropped us a little further. Back up. That actually, by the time that air reciprocates through all of the cars and releases, it dropped us. You do have to bear in mind that when you're hauling a train, all of those cars behind you, you apply your brakes or applying their brakes. And when you turn the air valve off up here, it has to weasel its way through all of the 11 cars that you have on the train. So it's not going to be an instantaneous thing. It takes a second for the air pressure to actually release all the brakes. Alright, we're on flat ground according to that rectangle at the bottom of that 7 sign. We can just keep pouring holes to it. Get up to speed. I believe our next sign is 80, and then 120, and then 110. If I'm not mistaken. there, our temperatures are bad. But to give it a little bit of a break, we are on a flat incline, a flat surface, so we will drop speed, just not very fast. I want to see what our next speed limit is. I do believe it's an 80. No danger of worrying about that 90. Only at 77 roughly. 75. Speed zone through here is an 80. Just gonna let it coast its way back down. Turn. Good, and we drop to 70. We do need to give it some. Don't track. That we're currently in is 80. Well, we got a 60 curve coming up. I'm already doing 60, so I'm golden for this curve. I just need to drop the power back here. We don't keep increasing. Now we have that negative 0.9 means we have a downgrade of 0.9% up, so we can actually just let go of the throttle. Now we're at a negative 1.1%, and you notice that I'm still increasing speed because now this weight behind me is pushing me down the hill. Now, I know they don't have the amperage model in this game yet, and I'm sure that will eventually change because most locomotives are diesel over electric. 8, what is 60? I actually need to drop. We're just about in town anyway. So we're going to need to stop here very soon so that we can determine which track we need to be on. stop probably about currently headed the right way, looks like. So we just need to, we don't want to go down that track, which I think is how it's going to send us. So we need to grab our comms radio, we need to swap that one, and then the next one down, we need to swap that one. So we want to stay on this outside edge and then turn on that one because it has us on teeth. Alright, so let's go ahead and brake. Let our brake pressure go back up. Anyway, what I was going to say about the amperage, the DC amperage gauge. Normally you have a switch in the locomotive, if I'm not mistaken, it turns on the generator. The generator supplies electric motor power to the drive wheels, which is actually how you go. Currently, they're just showing us that we supply just normal diesel power the drive wheels, but actually the diesels drive a electric generator, and the more generator power your diesel throttle you give, the more electric power you have on the DC gauge to supply your traction wheel. And I believe that's actually how it works. But they don't currently have that model in the paint. And also there's a fan, at least in the other locomotive, there is a fan. May not be modeled in this one. Yeah, I don't see it. Alright guys, we should be where we need to be. Let's go over here and turn in our document and get paid. Alright, so here's the job. Validate our ticket. We made it in 24 minutes out of 28. So we got 16,000 bonus, and our base was 32. No damage penalties to anything. Awesome. Awesome. So we did a good job, guys. And again, thanks to Mr. Hank Kerchief for giving me that tip on opening the doors. That's a great little tip. And of course also the tip on the route being on the side of each rail car. And guys, I hope to see you guys in the next episode. We did good. We brought in our load. We brought it in with no damage. And somebody is now going to have a whole bunch of garbage to go through. Scrap metal, tin cans, shock springs, all kinds of garbage. So, alright guys, I'll see you guys in the next episode, and I hope you guys enjoy your day. Peace out, everybody.